Welcome to another episode of Challenging the Norm. Here's an hers look at life and business with your hosts, Paul Snell and myself, Lindsey Burden. The podcast for solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, and business owners that want to experience success in their own way. Wrestling with the topics that matter and reality checking the latest trends in business. Paul works with business owners, showing them how they can take the stress out of transforming teams into performance powerhouses that love what they do, while I offer business coaching that empowers ambitious women in business to create financial abundance and a time-rich lifestyle without sacrificing their joy. Good morning, Paul. Good morning, listeners. Good morning, watchers. No less style like ever. Okay. We have a really juicy topic for you today. And it's come about because Paul and I are very vocal on this subject. We have some pretty strong views on the subject for lots of great reasons. And today, while we have no statistics, we have plenty of passion and knowledge, understanding, and lots to say on, are we ready? Do you need social media to be successful in business? Now, Paul, how are you and how are you feeling about social media?
I'm great, as always. And it is, you know what, when we decided on this topic, there's two things. One is I do have strong opinions on that, as you know. But the second one is I sit there and go, how many minutes do we have for this episode? This could really go on, this conversation. But I am incredibly passionate about this and business in general, as you are. And of course, when the statement is, do you need, or the question, do you need social media to be successful in business? My goodness, a million things starts bouncing around in my head. So it's a big question, Lindsey. The answer from me that we can then explore is it depends, because that's the easy answer, isn't it?
If anyone that's really helpful.
Yeah. If anyone wants you to answer a question, you say it depends. You go, oh, great. You don't really need to say that, but it does depend. I find it fascinating that you and I will sit here and give a view on something that our generation isn't necessarily so comfortable with.
No.
But with you and I, we do social media. We both do LinkedIn. Well, I certainly do mainly LinkedIn. I know you have several platforms. So we are involved with it, so we can have an opinion on it. I have many a friend who are not even close to going on social media. So I do question whether they could have an honest opinion. You know, they can sit there and say, no, it's rubbish. I don't want to do it, Paul. But there's a reality that goes, unless you try it, how do you know? So it's a big question, Lindsey, and honestly, I end up breaking this down a wee bit and go, so social media in what context? In context of communication, in the context of marketing, in the context of interaction. If I were to give you a general answer, I would say it's beneficial.
That's probably better than depends.
It is. Otherwise, listeners are going, oh, Paul, that's rubbish answer. Now, can you explain what you mean? I do think it's beneficial, but to what degree is my response? And I think that's where it depends. You know, if you're looking at the likes of a content creator or someone who actually sells a service to develop and help with social media, it depends a lot, right? It is the reason. But then we get into the shades of grey stuff that goes, well, what if you are a butcher? What if you are a local tea shop? What if you are a coach? What if you are a consultant? Then what does it mean?
There's so many places we could go. And there was one thing I did want to, well, there's not one. I've got loads to say. There's one thing we really do need to remind everyone, that social media is a tool that is used within a marketing strategy. It is not your marketing. I think we need to point that out. Yeah. I used to teach businesses how to use social media. And it's, you know, the use of it is, it can be beneficial. You're absolutely right. And I think it depends on the type of business, depends whether you're B2B or B2C, so business to business or business to consumer. I personally think if you're business to consumer, there are certain platforms that work really, really well. You know, if your audience is hanging out on Facebook, then, you know, that's the place you need to be. Other platforms are available. What has been the biggest challenge or struggle for me is, since my children have got a little older, because mine are a bit younger than yours, because I had mine very late in life, it was very foolish. They are now on social media, and that has caused some challenges in the house. Particularly my daughter, she does not want her friends to find me. She does not want her friends to see me. And I can give you a couple of really awful stories, one relating to my daughter, one relating to myself, where social media was just, I was ready to turn it all off. It was awful. And I think there is absolutely an issue around the toxic, how toxic that social media can be, not just for young people, but for any of us. And social media really does put you out there. You know, we talk about in business, and you need to show up, and you need to be visible, and you need to be out there, and you need to be talking to people. And if you're not talking to people, how are you going to sell? How are you going to grow your business? But actually, I think social media should be a choice. And it's a choice you can make. And I'm not totally convinced that we need social media to have a successful business, if I want to be controversial. And I'm feeling quite controversial today. And in part, it goes back to, it's a choice. And I've had to look at what I do, and I'm looking to reduce at least one of the platforms that I'm on, although the youngsters aren't really on Facebook, not really bothered when I'm there. But so in part, I'm doing that because I want to reduce the impact on my children. In part, I'm doing it because you cannot be everywhere. You can't, the minute we talk social media, and remembering I used to teach this for a living, we spread ourselves. We go, right, I need to be on Instagram, on Facebook. I need to be showing up on LinkedIn. I mean, in the old days, I was on Periscope. I was on Pinterest. If something new came out, I was on it. Yes, I kind of had to be there. And so there is an example of where if you're working in marketing and you're helping others with their social media, you need to be on those platforms to show that you can use them. But as a solopreneur, particularly, you're going to spread yourself really thin.
Yeah.
So which is your main primary platform? Which is the place that you're going to hang out the most, that you're going to give your the most attention and time to, the most love to, which is how I like to think of it, which for you and I is LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And then, if you want to have another platform, and I think I keep saying, I think my opinion is, it also depends on your age. So that I know some fabulous young women in business, they're all over TikTok, they're here, there, and everywhere. It's what they do. It is how they've been brought up. It's easy. It doesn't, if I had to, start a TikTok channel and start putting videos out, I mean, it would just take me forever. It would feel hard. It would feel horrible. And, it would take a lot of time. So I'm not. But for them, they do a video, they put it out. It's all great. Which also brings us back to that issue around time. So if you are time limited, you've got to choose wisely where you spend your time. And I use social media a lot in my training, and when I'm talking to my clients, it is a time drain, not just because you're thinking about curating the perfect post and how is it going to resonate, and then you get stuck, in the nobody's viewed it, 2 people have viewed it, what's happening, why is nobody listening to me, and you go down that little spiral. But also it's about the time, how many times have you go on to, because I've just got to do something for business, and you lose 20 minutes. It's not great use of your time scrolling aimlessly. So, even the person with the strongest will get sucked in.